here. Okay, we are just waiting for some reason my LinkedIn is not connecting. All right. Well, while that gets settled, today we are going to be talking about the advertising section of GA4. So if you saw I'm going to go ahead and pull up my LinkedIn post. Let me get this up here. So I posted this week about the advertising section of GA4 and how I feel like for some reason the advertising section is overlooked by most everyone. So let me go ahead. I'm going to pull this up really quick so we can go through it. So let's see. Can drop this in here. So I think you guys can see this now. Yeah. So the attribution in 2025, I mean, we're saying this every year. Attribution is getting harder and harder to do. It doesn't seem reliable. We got a new analytics platform out of GA4, and we have to learn this new analytics platform, and it's really hard to find some of the things that we were used to being able to find relatively easily, right? So I made this post about how all of that data is there. It's just not in places where people are looking. It's not in the report section. It's not in exploration. Exploration, we do have like path analysis as far as like actually on the site, what they're doing on the site in a specific session. Okay, that's session based, but like full user lifetime journey, it's kind of hard to see that. So I made this post about the advertising section, and I've talked to probably at this point hundreds of people about GA4, and only there have maybe been 5 or 6 people that I've talked to that have ever even ventured into this section, and the majority of them only came in here because they work with Google Ads, and even then they weren't aware of this report, which is the Attribution Paths report, and again, arguably one of the most important reports in GA4. Now there is some tips in here about or there's a tip in here about how to use this more effectively. But ultimately, the reason that this is so important is because it shows how everything works together, right? It shows how organic impacts the rest of the user journey, or how direct traffic impacts the rest of the journey, whatever that might be. So this is just my analytics account here, but if you start in this primary navigation, I'm always going to call this the primary navigation, and you click on the advertising section, it takes you to something that looks like this. And I can understand, as someone who doesn't work in an ads account, for instance, how this may be a bit off-putting, like, oh, I don't really need any of this, right? Like, this has like Google Ads. I'm not in charge of Google Ads. I'm going to bounce out of here. Or what you might see is you're going to get to this and there's going to be a screen that says you have to connect a Google Ads account, because last year or the year before now, I think it's been almost 2 years, Google rolled out that they require your account to be connected to a Google Ads account in order to be able to access this part of GA4 at all. So I am connected to a Google Ads account. I do not run Google Ads. I've never run Google Ads, but you have to be connected to a Google Ads account in order to use the advertising section of GA4, which, yes, it's called advertising. It really should have been called attribution, but whatever. Okay, so you have to connect to a Google Ads account. That's the first requirement. Again, just create the account. You don't even have to set up billing or anything. As long as you've created an account, if you log off right after that and go into the admin section of GA4, go to products, click on, I'll just show you. So if we go to admin, and under product links, we click on Google Ads. You just click on this link button and it will pull up the Google Ads account, all the ads you have or accounts you have access to, and then you just select one, and this is the one that I connected. Again, I've never run Google Ads on this account. I don't even think I have my billing information filled out. but it has to be connected in order to see anything in this advertising section, okay? Now, so then you'll see this, right? Your Google Ads account, conversions over time, so on and so forth. But if you get to this and it's completely empty, it's because you haven't set up key events or your key events haven't been triggered. But so one, you have to have a Google Ads account, and two, you have to have key events set up. So this was changed a month ago, how you get to set up key events now. So if you go to the admin section, you can see I'm still seeing it like this. But it has changed. So right now, the way that I see it is if I go into events, and then open this, I can mark things as a key event by just toggling it on. There is a new key event screen now, or events screen now. When you get to it, let me see, I also posted about this. So let's pull this up. When you get to that, that's not what I wanted. When you get to the new events screen, it actually starts off by showing you your key events. So we talked about this, but you just see an events button, and then when you get there, it shows you your key events. And you can see it has a star next to it. So if you toggle over to, if you toggle over to recent events, it will show you something that looks like this. And to mark the key event, you just have to click on the star. Okay, so you have to have at least one key event in order for the advertising section to start or to work at all. Okay, so you have Google Ads, you have your key event. Now you jump into advertising, and again, it looks like this. And I'm telling you, you have to go to this report so that you can see attribution data. And from here, it's kind of hard to see that there is attribution data outside of the primary channel group key events. But if you click on this, you see there is a small attribution section over here, right? So we have attribution paths and we have attribution models. So when you come into the attribution paths, you're going to see something that looks like this. If you're familiar with Universal Analytics, this is the closest thing to the multi-channel funnels that we had from Universal Analytics. In GA4, this is the closest thing we have. Now, on our previous office hours, we talked about the acquisition reports in GA4. There are 3 types of acquisition in GA4. We have user acquisition, which is kind of like first touch. We have session, which is kind of like last touch. And then we have whatever they're using for key events, right? Which has no prefix at all. So you can see that we have the options of channel group, source, medium, or campaign, okay? No prefix to those. Google is using, for most folks, unless you went in and changed it, a data-driven paid and organic channel grouping attribution thing, right? Okay, so cross-channel data-driven attribution model, meaning when people interact with a specific or come to your site one way, depending on how they interact with your site, Google is attributing a portion of the conversion to your or to that source, right? So this is what we're seeing by default. So you can see here, the majority of my key events are people that come directly to the website or have come, direct once, and then they converted, okay? Then I see referral 20 times and then converted. They came to the site through a referral 20 different times and then converted. Then we have referral once and then convert, organic social 5 times and then they convert. Organic search, right. So this is kind of what most people's first page will look like. A lot of like, single types, or like single channels. But once you start to open this up, you will see, you'll start to see things like this, right? So we have organic social. They came to the site through organic social 3 times, but Google attributed 0% of these key events to social. So I'm not going to see any conversions attributed to social in my attribution reports for these specific key events, because Google's saying, yeah, they did come to the site 3 times organically, but they didn't really do anything of value. Then they came to the site 3 times through referral, and I guess what they did was maybe a little bit valuable, so it gave them 1%. But then they came back to the site 9 times through organic search, and that's really where the majority of the impact was made. So the majority of this conversion is going to be attributed to organic search, right? And the reason that I think that this is so valuable, especially today when marketers' scopes are getting bigger and bigger. I went to SEO Week about 2 months ago now, which is wild to think about. And one of the things that was talked about was, or a month ago, I don't know, whatever. One of the things that was talked about a lot is AI, and how SEOs are having to optimize content for LLMs now, and not just search engines. Even though it's called search engine optimization, people are using LLMs like search engines, so we kind of have to make sure we're optimizing that way. And then also, like, the way that users are interacting with brands is ever changing. And so it's like, how do we like show the value of what we've created, right? And so I think that this is really important because, you know, it might be that users are acquired with organic social, and then they eventually convert directly, but like, what's happening in between those steps, right? And that's where this can be really helpful to see. So you can see like referrals on the front end, referrals on the back end, but organic search is right here in the middle. And if we looked at user acquisition, we would see 0 organic search conversions. If we looked at session, we would see, well, 0 in theory, right? But like, we can see that a lot of heavy lifting was done in the middle. So this is why that's kind of important. Now, before you deep dive rabbit hole into this, let's talk about a couple really important things. So the top of this screen where it says attribution paths, above it, you're going to see this drop down. So you can see mine says 5 out of 5 key events. And what that means is 5 things have been marked as key events in my account. Purchase, generate lead, newsletter sign up, form first name, and leads. So my account is very much a do as I say, not as I do kind of account, because I let students use my account so that they have access to real website data. I do a lot of tests in my account and a lot of demos in my account. So just take that for what it is. I highly recommend that people have 3 or fewer key events and that they are truly key events, right? The ultimate things you want people to do on your website. If you're an affiliate site, it's like, did people click on my affiliate links? Or did they make a purchase from my website, right? If you are an e-commerce site, your key event should be purchase. If you're B2B, your key event should be, did they give me their information? So whether that's through a form fill or they called you, right? Because now you have their phone number, or did they click to email you? Now you have their email address, right? Even then it's like, really the form fill should be the key event, but those other 2 could be marked as key events. Because what happens is the more key events that we have marked, the ones that are less friction are going to skew the key event numbers, because they're going to be way higher than those that have a lot of friction. So like, clicking to call has very little friction other than the fact that people don't want to make phone calls. But like, let's say you do like golf cart maintenance, right? Older people might be more willing to call. And so they might click to call. And that has a lot less friction than I'm going to fill out a form and wait for you to put me in your CRM, have a sales rep call me, whatever, right? Because then I have to give you my phone number, my email address. Maybe you ask me information about my cart. and maybe it's just not mobile friendly, right? So what that does is it really can skew your numbers to have multiple key events set up, and people tend to forget to come in and change these, and so key event rates are used throughout GA4, and it can, again, it just really skews everything. If you look in the demo account, they have add to cart and view item marked as key events, and it really just screws everything up. All that to say, I'm going to change this to generate lead for now, and we're going to see how that changes the data. Okay, so you can see that it got rid of that like referral times 20, right? So this did kind of change my data a bit. And I see in here direct, organic, social, referral, so on and so forth, right? And I know I'm only reporting on this generate lead event. Now the thing next to it says path length, all touch points. But we can change that. We can say touch points are greater than 2. We could say we want to see greater than 5, right? These are people that took a really long time to decide. They had to have a lot of touch points with us before they decided to convert. Now, the major downside of these attribution reports is this, the filters. So if I click to add filter, you can see we have very few options for filtering. So we have device category, platform and stream name, and then we have continent, country, and subcontinent, and that's it. So not very many options for filters, which sucks. Hopefully maybe in the future we'll get some, but for now this is what we have to work with. We used to be able to filter by audiences in here. It looks like, I mean, now that's gone, so we don't even have that. So we kind of have to get a little bit crafty, because what we're given here is as options is channel group, default channel group, source, medium, and campaign. So the channel groupings is already a little tough because it says like organic search 100%. So this is one organic search, or not organic search. Let's do organic social. This is one organic social visit, and then they converted. But like, was that DuckDuckGo? Was it Google? Was it Bing? So that's one part that makes it kind of hard. It's like we don't really know where it came from. And the second thing that makes it really hard is the definitions of Google, or that Google used to create these channel groupings is not infinite, which means there are some things that are going to be undefined. If you have people that use UTMs in your business and they don't follow what Google's expecting to see, it will be undefined or placed in the wrong place. So you can see like there's this unassigned, right? So there's just a lot of things that can kind of go wrong with the channel groupings. So I almost always use source, medium in all of my reports, but you can see here we can't do source and medium together. We can do one or the other. So if I click on source, now I can see, oh, all of those organic social key events were people that came from LinkedIn. Oh, nope, not all of them, because the next one was Twitter. Okay, so t.co is Twitter. So we can see we had 10 people that came from LinkedIn once and then became a lead, and then 5 people that came from Twitter once and then became a lead, right? This is me or my students more likely testing, right? Because there's Google Tag Manager, people coming through Google 6 times and then making a key event, LinkedIn, Linktree, then a lot of me and my students, right? So you can see the number of times, the key events, number of key events, and you can see the percentage of key events compared to the total. You can see the purchase revenue if that's relevant. So if I change this to purchases, you would see the purchase revenue here. You can see days to key event. This has number of days from when the ad interaction happened until conversion. I don't run ads, so, and like you can see that it's with LinkedIn. So this is like the time between the first visit and the conversion is my understanding. It's not perfect, it's not great, it's an estimate, okay? And the touch points to key events. So like this, where we had 15 tag manager, 3 LinkedIn, and then 2 tag manager visits in a conversion, you can see that that makes for a total of 20 touch points before conversion, right? Okay, so the next thing is, obviously, this can be a bit like if you're running Google Ads and you're doing SEO, obviously, or not doing SEO, but like you're still going to get organic traffic, then just seeing Google isn't overly helpful, because is it Google paid or Google organic? So then you would have to rely on Medium. But even still, like, this can be tough as well. So you just kind of have to find what works for your specific need, so that you might be pulling different reports for different things, unfortunately. And you're just going to have to, like, you and your boss or whomever you're reporting to, your client, are going to have to understand that. I did get a question around how, let's see, okay, how to use this for AI traffic. So to be completely honest, AI traffic I'm still seeing is better to be tracked using the page refer, because it's getting thrown under direct a lot. But since we can't use page refer here, we need to rely on the source. And so the source, you're gonna have to look for all of the most used LLMs. So what I would do, so we can't filter this, right? Remember, we can't, I mean, the filter only gives us options for continent, country, subcontinent, device, category, platform, and stream name. So what I recommend doing is exporting this to a, so we're going to download and export to a Google Sheet. And then we'll be taken to a sheet that looks like this, okay? And then you're going to clean it up. So you're going to delete the first 9 rows, and you should be left with something that looks like, oh, okay, fine. So we're going to delete these first 9 rows, delete rows, and you'll be left with something that looks like this, right? So instead of saying like times 5, it just has it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, right, listed. So what we're going to do now is we're going to select all this, form, data, create a filter. And then on the source, we're going to do filter by condition, and then text value contains. And then you can put a regex in here. I'm just going to do, because I've only had ChatGPT conversions. Let me go back here. Here we go. So I did it here, but let me undo this. So you can see that I put in chat here, and then okay, and then you can see that the source, ChatGPT, had 2 conversions, and both of them were like first touch conversions. So somebody came to my site from ChatGPT and converted, and then another person came to my site from ChatGPT and converted, right? So you would do this for all of the LLMs that you're seeing traffic from. So you're going to have to do it from the source level. And then what you'll get, so let me do this. Let me do like Twitter, or I'm just going to do this for now. So let's pretend, right? Let's pretend that these were all, that's not going to work. Text contains, let's do link tree. This should be for my link tree in LinkedIn. Fine. Link tree. Okay, so these are all things that included a link tree touch point, okay? I created this sheet, and to be completely honest, I haven't used it in a minute, so we're going to follow it. So to sum your key events, use this. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and we are going to add one row below. So for the key events, oh, and we're going to get rid of this, delete. We're going to use subtotal and then 9 and then this range, okay? So the B range here. So 1, 2, so this should come up to 30, 51, 63, 75, 86, 95. Yeah. Okay. So 112, 27. Okay. Got it. So if I click that, so this has been reaggregated only to look at the subtotal of like filtered things. So that's the number of key events. And then I did the same thing for revenue. So now we have to create a key event helper. So we multiply B by D. So, wait. Oh, yeah, because we're going to find the average days. So, okay, so this going to equals B times D. Like I said, I haven't used this in a long time, so I'm having to like relearn how I did this. Okay, B times D, got that. And then use subtotal equals 9 full F range divided by subtotal 9 full B range. Okay, so subtotal 9 full F range, just going to be this, divided by subtotal 9 full, full B range. And that gives us our average days. So we can say, all right, so from Linktree, we've had 127 key events happened. And some of them were a lot of touch points. Some of them were a few touch points. Well, a lot of them were few touch points. And we can see that on average, the average days to conversion was 2.6 days to conversion. Okay. And then we got to create a touch point helper. So B times E. So equals B times E. And so this is going to be the same thing. So B times E like this. And then we're going to do this right here. So no. We're going to do this right here. No, also no. Copy, paste. So G divided by, we got to make sure that this goes back to B. And so we can see the average days to key events was 4. So we can say, all right, for Linktree, we had 127 key events where Linktree touched the conversion at all. On average, it took about 2.5 days for a user to convert, almost 3 days. And on average, they had a little over 4 touch points. So what that says is like, Linktree is part of the equation. It's not the full equation. Even though some of these, it's like Linktree was like if there were multiple touch points, Linktree was the majority of the touch points, right? The only other touch point that's like really common to be used with Linktree, it looks like, is join tofu, which is interesting, but alas. Right? So this is kind of how you could use that. So like if you did this with ChatGPT, right? So you would just change the filter and change this to ChatGPT or Perplexity or whatever. Or you could write a regex that brings them all in. I'm not going to do that right now because I always have a bad time trying to figure out regex on the fly. Let's see if we have any other, no comments, just Jeff hanging out. Hey, Jeff, hope you're good. All right, let's see if we have anything on YouTube. If we don't, I'm going to go ahead and pop off. But yeah, it looks like we are good. Okay, so that's the attribution Like I said, you can't really use any filters or anything. So you have to do that kind of export. And then this is, let me go back and get the shareable version of this. Attribution reaggregation here. Share, anyone with the link, copy, and then you can make a copy of this if you need to. So I'll go ahead and put that in the chat right there. And play around in this section. This is really helpful for people with ads. You can also look at the different attribution models if you want. Really, it's only data driven versus last click, but if you're interested in that, you can look at it here. And then everything else is really just for Google Ads, to be quite honest. You can see all your conversions in here, your advertising segments are in here. And then if you want to do any like planning, all your ads cost stuff comes in here. So if you import your Facebook ads costs or anything like that in here, you'd be able to see. But really, this is the big one. This is the closest thing we get to multi-channel funnels, and it's really, really important to see how things move together. Look for trends. Organic social is always with SEO, or we know that when we do paid or direct, we later get direct traffic, things like that, right? That's super duper important. All right, thanks for hanging out for another office hours on Friday, and hopefully I see you next week. Peace.